All right, everyone, enjoy the class, and we'll see you soon. And I'm going to hand you over to the woman in the hour. All right, have fun.
Hi there. Nice to see you all again. Let me get my seat comfortable. So today's topic is fats that heal, fats that kill. This is a very complex topic, so I'm hoping that I can explain it to you in a way that's understandable. Again, the purpose is to talk about fat in our diets. You know that I'm not a medical professional. This information is general information. And as always, address questions about your diet if you're going to change it to your healthcare provider. So fat, here's all these wonderful foods that have fat in them. I'm addicted to fat, so some people are sugar people, some people are fat people. Me, it's fat. There's absolutely no doubt about it. There's a lot of taste in fatty foods like steak and ribs, butter, margarine on baked potatoes, bacon bits on your fresh salad. However, as you know, if you eat too many fats, especially unhealthy fats, it is associated with an increased risk of chronic disease like obesity, heart disease, cancer, and diabetes. But here's the problem. Not all fat is bad. So fat is a very confusing nutritional topic. Research about fat is confusing. If you go on the internet, it has all kinds of conflicting recommendations. Diet books and the media talk about fats as though all fats are the same, and I hope after this presentation you will learn there are many different types of fats. And each of these different types of fats plays a different role in your body. Each of these fats affects your health differently. The bottom line is you need fat every day to live. Protein, carbohydrates, and fats are the major components of the food that we eat, from which our body is made. How much fat do you need? 20 to 30% of your calories should come from fat. If you're on a 2,000 calorie diet, which I'm assuming most of you are not, it's between 400 and 600 calories of fat every day. Next to water, which makes up about 70% of your weight, fat is the most abundant substance found in our bodies. The exact amount of fat present in the body is influenced by many things. As you know, diet, exercise, age. Unfortunately, we gain fat as we age. Gender, men tend to have less fat than women, and genes. Some of us are born with more fat. So let's start the talk about healing fats and killing fats. The fact is that some fats are absolutely required for health, while other fats are detrimental to your health. Whether a fat heals you or kills you depends on several factors. What kind of fat it is it fresh? Has the fat been exposed to light, oxygen, or heat? How old the fat is? How has it been used in food preparation? How much you eat? And what the balance is of the different kinds of fats we get. So our goal today is to learn how these different factors change the nutrition of fat so that we can make better choices and consume fats that help us maintain good health. In 1900, only 1 in 7 people died of cardiovascular disease. Today, 1 in 4 die. In 1900, only 1 in 30 died of cancer. Today, 1 in 4 die. And this increase in death rates is attributed to changes in diet. Why do fats kill us? Between that time, 1900, and today, major changes have been made in the kind of fat we eat, the amount we eat, and the balances of the different fats we eat, and how we produce or process them. Even if you eat the right kinds of fats, wrongly prepared, they can cause degenerative diseases that we call diseases of fatty degeneration. So let's talk first of all about fats that heal. If we get the right kinds of fats in the right amounts and in the right balance, if we prepare them using the right methods, fats will build us our health and help keep us healthy. Fat, dietary fat that we eat, comes from both plants and animals. Fats, oil, another word for it is fatty acids. If you read anything in nutrition, they're going to call it fatty acids. Fatty acids or fats come in many different shapes and sizes, and each one affects our body differently. Here are some pictures of fats, and they all have different names. You may have heard of oleic fat or a palmitic fat, which is in palm oil, or cereal fat, which is the fat that's in meat. All of these fats are very different, and they have different molecular structures. Why do we need fatty acids in our diet? Fat provides our body insulation, as in these characters. Body fat under our skin and around our organs provides insulation, also absorbs shock. Fatty acids are the main components of membranes that surround all of our cells. So in this picture, you can see a cell, and that blue line all around the outside is the cell membrane. And the cell membrane is made out of fat. Fatty acids act as carriers for very important fat-soluble vitamins. Vitamin D, E, A, and K. Your body could not absorb those vitamins if you did not eat them with fat. And these are very important vitamins. More things that fatty acids do. They provide us energy, calories, heat. They also make hormones that are essential for our body functions. And when you eat fats, it slows down the absorption of nutrients in your system so you can go longer without feeling hungry. Here's something that you need to know about fat and calories. Every gram of fat contains 9 calories. This is twice as many calories as protein and carbohydrates. They only have 4 calories per gram. Even sugar has less calories per gram than fat. And that's why when we eat high fat foods, we gain calories quickly, which can cause weight gain. Does fat make you fat? The reason people think fat makes you fat is because they're high in calories. If you eat fat in moderation, it will not make you fat. And in fact, in the 1970s, they had a lot of low-fat diets. I have 2 sisters who went on them. And people who didn't eat fat started to have serious health problems, like losing their hair, like their nails would break down. They would get a lot of skin infections, things like that. Because fat is part of those organs. There are 2 main types of fat, which you probably have heard of: saturated fat and unsaturated fat. Not all fats are created equal. Although saturated and unsaturated fat is found in most foods, unsaturated fat is good for your heart. Saturated fats are detrimental to your heart. So let's talk a little bit about how can you tell the difference between a saturated and an unsaturated fat. The easiest way to tell which one is saturated, the bad for you, versus the unsaturated, the good for you, is to look at the fat in their natural form. So, saturated fatty acids are solid at room temperature. Butter is a saturated fatty acid, okay? Unsaturated fatty acids are liquid at room temperature, like olive oil, canola oil. Only one exception to that rule. Tropical oils like palm oils are saturated fats, even though they are liquid at room temperature. So dietary fats, the fats that we eat, are a blend of saturated and unsaturated fat. For example, most of the fat in butter is saturated, but it does contain some unsaturated fats, which are good for you. So let's talk about the bad for you fats first of all. Saturated fatty acids. These are the foods that have saturated fatty acids in them. Things like bacon, the fat on steak, cheeses, sausage, eggs, coconut oil, palm oil. So saturated fatty acids typically, exception palm oil, are solid at room temperature. And why are they disease promoting? They raise your bad cholesterol, your LDL, they lower your good cholesterol, your HDL, and that means if you have a lot of saturated fatty acids, you are increasing your risk of heart disease and stroke. But it is confusing. Why would the body have you eat or make something that's not good for you? So while too much saturated fatty acid is not good for your heart, you do need some saturated fatty acid. What does saturated fatty acid do in your body? When you eat saturated fat, like the fat in an egg yolk, it generates energy. Saturated fatty acids are the fat that makes cell membranes. Saturated fatty acids are the ones that make hormones like testosterone and progesterone. So, and when we eat saturated fatty acids, it also enables us to make unsaturated fatty acids. So we need some. What foods have saturated fatty acids? Red meat, butter, cream, mayonnaise, the skin on chicken, palm oil, ice cream. All of these are saturated fatty acids. Other sources of saturated fatty acids: sour cream, cream cheese, chocolate, butter, hard cheese. All these things have saturated fatty acids. So I'm not saying never eat them, but you need to eat them in very small quantities. 60% of the saturated fatty acid in our diet comes from meat, cheese, and other dairy products. Where does the other 40% come from? You know where it comes from. Fast food, basically. So 15% of fatty acids in the American diet come from carb-heavy desserts like cakes, cookies, pastries, candies. Another 15% comes from junk food like burgers, fries, pizza, and chips. And 6% comes from dairy-based products. So there's a huge controversy around saturated fat. Nutrition experts don't agree on how saturated fatty acids affect your health. And many studies that you read lump all saturated fatty acids together, while in reality, not only do we have saturated fat, there are different types of saturated fat, and each plays a different role in our body. When you think about heart disease, you usually think, okay, it's related to saturated fat. But heart disease is more closely related to extra calories and weight gain than it is due to saturated fatty acids. So that means you can have some saturated fatty acids. They're safe, but you have to eat them in moderation and in a diet that doesn't cause weight gain. I want to talk about the relationship between saturated fat and sugar, because they're closely related. The hidden parent of saturated fat that kills us is refined sugar. Refined sugar and starches, when you eat them, they turn into saturated fat. So killer saturated fats are made from refined sugars. And saturated fats that your body makes from refined sugar are sticky, and they increase your chances of clogged arteries, stroke, heart attack, and diabetes. So the message is really clear. It's really important not to eat a lot of refined sugar or sugary products so that your body doesn't make extra saturated fatty acid and the kind that's sticky that causes disease. An excess of refined sugars will increase your cholesterol levels in our blood. Why? Cholesterol is made from fatty acids. Saturated fatty acids, the bad kind, are made from sugar. So if you eat a lot of refined sugar, your body's going to make more bad saturated fatty acids, and that's going to make more cholesterol. Since I brought up cholesterol, let's talk about cholesterol and what it is. Cholesterol is a soft substance. Cholesterol is a fat, and it's found in the bloodstream, and it's found in all of your body's cells. So this little yellow stuff in this artery, that's cholesterol. Now here's another interesting issue. Cholesterol is essential for our health. It plays a vital and a detrimental role in our health. There is no nutritional substance as controversial as cholesterol, and there's no substance about which there is more confusion. So let me talk about the health benefits of cholesterol, because obviously your body wouldn't make cholesterol if there weren't some health benefits. So here's why cholesterol is good. Cholesterol is in all of our cell membranes. So the membranes, that little membrane that goes around your cell, has cholesterol inside of it. And cholesterol controls how hard or fluid the cell membrane is. And this function is so important that nature's equipped every single cell in your body with ability to make its own membrane cholesterol. Here's this little cartoon. So at the very top, the little guy with the big eyes, that's cholesterol. And in that case, he's trying to pull the compounds in the cell membrane together to make them a little harder. And in the one below, cholesterol is trying to push them away to make the membrane more fluid. That's what cholesterol does. Cholesterol is also secreted by glands in your skin. Cholesterol covers and protects our skin against dehydration, cracking, wear and tear of sun, wind, and water. And in its capacity as a skin covering, cholesterol helps heal skin and prevent infections from foreign organisms. Sometimes when people eat a no-fat diet and they don't have enough cholesterol, they start to get major skin infections and rashes. Other things cholesterol does. It makes hormones, estrogen, progesterone, testosterone, adrenaline, and cortisol are all made out of cholesterol. Now, only food sources from animals have cholesterol. Plant foods have no cholesterol in them. So you've got to eat dairy products, meat, cheese is made from dairy in order to eat cholesterol. So cholesterol can come from your food or it can be made in our body. Our cells produce cholesterol, as I mentioned, but also your liver produces cholesterol, your intestines produce cholesterol, your adrenal glands and your sex glands all produce cholesterol. The liver's, one of the big functions of your liver is to adjust the amount of cholesterol it makes. And your liver checks your bloodstream to see how much cholesterol is coming in from your diet. If you're getting a lot of cholesterol from your diet, then your liver releases hormones that tells the rest of your body, stop making so much cholesterol. So eating cholesterol doesn't change the risk of heart disease for most people because your body, your liver, regulates how much cholesterol it makes. 999 out of every 1,000 people can control their cholesterol levels and, more importantly, their cardiovascular health by nutritional means alone. However, for 25% of all people, people like me, when they eat cholesterol, both their bad cholesterol, your LDL, and your good cholesterol, your HDL increases. So I'm one of those people, 1 in 1,000, where my liver doesn't regulate the cholesterol in my body. So even if I don't eat foods high in cholesterol, I have high, good, and bad cholesterol. So where does, if your body's making extra fat and cholesterol and you're eating it, where does it go? Fats can be deposited in the cells of our liver, heart, arteries, fat tissues, kidneys, muscles, and organs. So when we have excess fatty acids in our body, when we have excess cholesterol in our body, it gets delivered to our organs. And it's delivered to our organs and cells by LDL, bad cholesterol. So that's why we want to have low LDL levels, because you don't want LDL to take all that extra fat to your organs. Excess fat is stored in a cell called a lipocyte, and it can store lots and lots of fat. So you can, this is what a lipocyte looks like. It's a cell that has like a storage room in it that puts all the extra fat in it. Now there are 2 types of cholesterol. Cholesterol travels to the body's cells through the bloodstream by something called lipoproteins. So when your doctor says LDL, that stands for low density lipoprotein. That's one kind. HDL is high density lipoprotein. LDL, low density lipoprotein, what's its function? To take fat and cholesterol out of your bloodstream and deliver it to your arteries, to deliver it to your organs. So here's a picture of an artery, and see all that yellow stuff building up in the artery? That is cholesterol that's been delivered by LDL to the artery, and it's starting to build up in the artery. Now HDL, the good cholesterol, what does it do? It also takes fat from your blood, but it takes it away from your organs, delivers it to the liver so it can be removed from your body. So HDL is a good kind of cholesterol to have in your body. So what's so bad when your blood cholesterol gets really, really high? When your blood cholesterol gets really, really high, we know it's not getting removed from your body, and we know that LDL is going to take it and start storing it. So low density lipoprotein, the bad kind of cholesterol, when you have too much of it, it takes the cholesterol out of your blood, it joins with other fats, builds up in your arteries, in your organs, and your arteries get clogged and narrow, blood flow gets reduced. And if this buildup of plaque from cholesterol and fats ruptures, a blood clot may form at this location, or a piece can break off and travel in the bloodstream. If that piece goes to your heart, you have a heart attack. If it goes to your brain, you have a stroke. So, given 25% of all people are sensitive to dietary cholesterol, current modern thinking is cholesterol levels should be regulated. So you probably know these numbers. If you don't, you should. Your goal, your LDL, your bad cholesterol should be under 100. 120 is acceptable. Your good cholesterol, the cholesterol that takes cholesterol out of your body, for men, it should be over 40. For women, over 50. Okay. Now, one way to get cholesterol, the bad cholesterol, out of your body is to increase fiber in your diet. Fiber is amazing. Fiber will take that extra cholesterol in your blood, that extra fat in your blood, and will remove it from your body. If you don't have enough fiber in your bloodstream, about 94% of the cholesterol you eat is going to be reabsorbed into your body. So to lower your cholesterol levels, and if you don't want to have to take medication, it's important to eat high fiber foods. You should be getting at least 25 to 30 milligrams of fiber every day. Let's talk a little bit about triglycerides, which you guys probably have all heard about. What are they? When you eat excess sugar, your body not only converts that sugar into cholesterol, it also converts that excessive sugar into something called triglycerides. Triglycerides are another form of fat. It's the most common fat in your body. The body fat that you have, the adipose, it's all made from triglycerides. And as I explained earlier, we do need some body fat. The fat layer around your internal organs protects you from shock and injury when you bump into things. And every time you take a step, the pad underneath the foot of your heel, that takes a tremendous amount of shock each time your heel hits the pavement. That fat is made out of triglycerides. So we do need fat, but not too much. Excessive sugar consumption leads to high blood triglyceride levels, which leads to more fat. Too much fat results in high cholesterol levels, heart problems, obesity, and diabetes. So your triglyceride goal, that fat that's floating around in your bloodstream, should be under 150. If your triglyceride goal is getting high, fish oil supplements have proven effective in lowering triglycerides. So that's something you may want to consider if your triglyceride levels are over 150. I gave an article to Sarah, which hopefully she can email to you if she hasn't already. The article is called "What are High Blood Cholesterol and Triglycerides?" If you can't download it or print it, just let her know. We'll make copies for you, okay? Anything that I have that you need copies of, ask Sarah, and she should get them to you. Now, typically, if I was doing this in person, we'd have a little snack, and a really great snack is a low-fat cracker with peanut butter on it. Peanut butter is a good, healthy fat. So let's start talking about healthy fats. Unsaturated fatty acids are healthy fats. You know, we try to avoid the killer fats, and it's easy to forget the fats heal. Fats that contain unsaturated fatty acids, which makes them liquid oils, those are good fats for you. Most of the time, the average person gets their unsaturated fat from plant oils. But here's some other examples of foods that have unsaturated fat. Fish, olive oil, nuts, flax seeds. There are two types, this gets complicated, of unsaturated fatty acids. First of all, unsaturated fatty acids are heart healthy. We need them for heart health. The two types of unsaturated fatty acids are monounsaturated fat and polyunsaturated fat. Let's talk about monounsaturated fat. Aids in heart health. It will help maintain appropriate levels of good HDL, and it lowers your bad LDL. 60% of your brain is made up of monounsaturated fats. So if you don't eat these kinds of fats, it's going to cause damage to your brain. Monounsaturated fat are used in the fibers, the axons of the brain and the nerve cells. Each of the nerve cells in your brain is covered with a fatty sheath, and that is made out of monounsaturated fat. One of the things that we know today is in Alzheimer's disease, the fat that protects the neurons of the brain wears away. And they're doing a lot of experiments by giving people with early stage Alzheimer's megadoses of monounsaturated fats. So if you want a healthy brain, you need to eat monounsaturated fat. What kind of foods have monounsaturated fatty acids? Avocados, olive oil, salmon, nuts. A study was done of 840,000 adults over 4 to 30 years, found that those who had the most monounsaturated fatty acids had a 12% lower risk of death from heart disease compared to those who didn't eat them. And the benefit was stronger for those who consumed olive oil. And that's one of the reasons why the Mediterranean diet is considered good, because it uses a lot of olive oil, and there's no question that lowers your risk of death from heart disease. Let's talk about polyunsaturated fatty acids. They're even better than monosaturated acids. In one study, replacing foods high in saturated fat like butter with polyunsaturated fat reduced the risk of heart disease by 19%. So remember, polyunsaturated fats are usually liquid at room temperature, and they're referred to as oils. They're mostly found in fatty fish, plant-based oils, seeds, and nuts. So all of these foods have polyunsaturated fats in them. Here's more complication. Polyunsaturated fats are divided into two categories. You may have heard of these before: omega-3 and omega-6. So omega-3 and omega-6 are called essential fatty acids because your body cannot make them. The only way you can get them is by eating them. And these essential fatty acids will lower your bad cholesterol and lower your triglyceride levels. But here's a couple of problems. First of all, you can only get omega-6 and omega-3 by eating them, okay? And one of the best ways you can get it is from fish. Omega-3 in 3 ounces of fish: salmon, herring, sardines, mackerel, trout, shrimp. All of these things have omega-3 in them, which is really important for your heart health. You can also find omega-3 in pine nuts, walnuts, flax seeds, sunflowers, canola, soybean, walnuts, dark green leaves, but they are less active forms. The best way you can get omega-3 is from fish. Why is omega-3, talk Yvonne, so amazing? It's known for heart health. People who consume fish, which contains omega-3 fatty acids, reduce their risk of dying from heart disease. Omega-3 fatty acids are blood thinners. They reduce the stickiness of the blood cells, which is called platelet aggregation, and sticky blood cells lead to blood clots and stroke. Omega-3 will help with arthritis. It won't cure it, but many studies have found that people who have inflammatory disease who eat omega-3 fish have less joint stiffness, less swelling, less tenderness, less overall fatigue. Omega-3 helps to stop the production of carcinogens within the body that cause cancer. So it can aid in cancer prevention and treatment. It won't cure it, but it will aid. And this amazing fat, omega-3, has been shown over and over again to improve depression and symptoms of mental illness. So omega-3 fatty acids are critical for brain development. They lower low levels of omega-3 in people. People who have low levels of omega-3 tend to have quicker mental decline. In a study of over 5,000 people, higher fish consumption was tied to a 60% lower risk of dementia and a 70% lower risk of Alzheimer's disease. So that's omega-3, really, really good for you. Omega-6 fatty acids, plant-based oils, are all high in omega-6 fatty acids, with the exception of the tropical oils, coconut and palm oil. They contain saturated fats. Oil-based condiments like mayonnaise, salad dressings, margarines, they're all high in omega-6 fatty acids. So anything made out of a vegetable oil has a lot of omega-6 in it. Most of us eat a lot of omega-6 fatty acids because it's easy to get omega-6 by using cooking oil, right? But you've got to work really hard to get omega-3. Most of us don't eat enough 3 to get omega-6. This is a problem. The consumption of fish that are high in omega-3 is the lowest it's been in the history of nutrition. People don't eat enough fish. Scientists suspect that a distorted ratio between omega-6 and omega-3 is causing a lot of damage and causing a lot of health problems. Why? Why do we care about the balance between omega-6 and omega-3 fat? Omega-6 fat causes inflammation. So all those oils that we eat when we cook and make things, those are omega-6. They cause inflammation. Omega-3s found in fish and fish oils are anti-inflammatory. They stop inflammation in the body. So omega-6 oils, when you have too much in your body, that's what's causing inflammation and things like arthritis. Now, why would your body cause inflammation? We need inflammation. It's essential for survival. When you get an infection, when you have an injury, inflammation is how that gets healed. But too much inflammation of the cells leads to chronic illness like heart disease, diabetes, arthritis, and many types of cancer. So one of the huge problems with our diet today, it's very high in omega-6 in those vegetable oils. It's very low in omega-3s. And so we're seeing an increase in inflammation in our body. A diet that includes a balanced amount of omega-6 and omega-3s reduces inflammation. So our diet has too much omega-6, not enough omega-3, and it's causing health problems. We eat a large amount of processed seed and vegetable oil. The single most important thing you can do to reduce your omega-6 is to avoid processed seeds and vegetable oils that are high in them, as well as foods that are made from them. Now, I gave Sarah a copy of this chart because it's a really interesting chart. And the way that you read it, on the left side is the different types of oils. And if it's got a lot of red in it, that's saturated fat. So you can see at the very bottom, people talk about coconut oil being good for you, but coconut oil is 91% saturated fat. Saturated fat is not good for your heart. Now we know the orange is omega-3. So let's find a fat that has a lot of omega-3 in it. You can see that flaxseed oil is the first one I see. It's 57% omega-3. So if you're not getting enough omega-3, flaxseed oil would be a really good oil to have. Let's see. The blue is omega-6. So let's see which one has the most omega-6 in it. Sunflower oil, very high in omega-6. Let's see, what do we got? Cottonseed oil, high in omega-6. Peanut oil is 33% omega-6. So this chart shows you the different types of oils and which ones have a lot of omega-3 and omega-6. Let's look at olive oil, which is considered a heart healthy oil. Like all oils, it's 15% saturated fat, 75% omega-9, which is good for you. It's 1% omega-3 and 9% omega-6. So you can see fat is very complicated, isn't it? There are so many different types of fat, and you need to try to have a balance of the fats in your diet. So butter, coconut oil, lard, palm oil, and olive oil are all low in omega-6. Sunflower oil, corn, soybean, these cottonseed oils have the highest amount of omega-6. So it's better to be using olive oil than it is to be using soybean oil. Flaxseed oil contains the most amount of omega-3. Unfortunately, soybean oil is currently the biggest source of fatty acids, omega-6 in the United States. Why? Because it's very cheap and it's found in almost all processed foods. This chart, which I know you can't see very well, but the red line see that red line? That's the production of soybean oil and how much it's increased in this country. And you can see our country produces more soybean oil than any other kind of oil. It's an omega-6 oil, and it's used in everything that's processed. So a simple guide to try to balance your omega fatty acids: avoid vegetable oils that are high in omega-6 and try to avoid the processed foods that have them. Eat lots of omega-3 rich animals, something that comes from the sea, at least twice a week. If you're not getting enough omega-3, consider getting fish oil or cod liver oil. These are good sources of omega-3. I have to talk a little bit about trans fat, which is the worst killer fat you can eat. All right, trans fat is not a natural fat. It's made by man. Trans fats are made by hydrogenating vegetable oil. Basically, they take perfectly healthy vegetable oil and they bombard it with hydrogen gas. What does that do? That takes the liquid vegetable oil and it makes it into a solid fat, like butter or margarine. And once the oil has been hydrogenated, it won't spoil. It will last for 10 years. Not only that, if you put it in a deep fryer, you know how when you fry in oils, this is an oil that fries better because it burns at a higher temperature. So trans fat has a very long shelf life, about 10 years, and it's the best kind of fat to fry in. That is why all fast food places fry their French fries in trans fat. Trans fat is very unhealthy, and a lot of times when you look at the label of food, it says 0 trans fat, but if you go down and look at the ingredients, it says partially hydrogenated vegetable oil. Anything hydrogenated means that they've bubbled hydrogen into it and they've converted it into trans fat. Totally unhealthy for you. Trans fats are killer fats. Why? Because they contribute to heart disease. When you eat trans fats, it lowers your good cholesterol, it increases your bad cholesterol, and they will increase your blood cholesterol by up to 15%, and they increase your blood triglycerides 47%, and they increase it very rapidly. The increase in the incidence of deaths from cancer over the last 80 years, from 1 to 30 people since 1900 to 1 to 40 in 1990, is definitely related to the increase in our consumption of trans fats made from vegetable oil, especially in our increase in fast food. So despite the fact that nothing in our food supply is more dangerous than trans fat, almost all processed food is made from trans fat. Trans fat is in things like chips, margarine, baked goods, crackers, all fried foods, salad dressings, cookies, breakfast cereals, and even protein bars. There's nothing good about trans fat. Here's what the U.S. Food and Drug Administration has to say about them. By our most conservative estimate, replacement of partially hydrogenated fat, which is trans fat, in the U.S. diet with natural unhydrogenated vegetable oils would prevent approximately 30,000 premature coronary heart deaths every year. And epidemiological evidence suggests this number is closer to 100,000 premature deaths annually. The Food and Drug Administration very recently in the United States banned trans fats. Manufacturers can no longer add trans fats in processed foods, and they must be in compliance by January 2021. But here's the issue. They are making lots of foods right now with trans fat, and they're storing them. Because why? Foods with trans fats will store for 10 years. So even though as of next January they can't do it anymore, you still need to look at labels. Try to make sure you do not eat foods that have trans fat in them. Your heart will thank you for that. Okay, and here's, if you like margarine, there are now more responsible manufacturers. I think you say this, Besil. I don't know if anybody's used it, but it is an alternative to margarine. It has no trans fat, it has no animal fat, and no cholesterol, and I hear it tastes good. It also has omega-3 vitamins A and D, and it kind of looks like this. This is what the container looks like, okay? Now, another solution is, rather than using butter or margarine, dip your bread in olive oil. You know, a lot of your Italian restaurants now do that, and then you know you're not getting any trans fats and you're getting a good fat. I want to talk a little bit about the history oil making toxic products in promotion. Remember at the very beginning I talked about fat and said, you know, it really depends how much you eat. You don't want to eat too much fat because it's high in calories. Balance of fat. You want to make sure your omega-3s and your omega-6 are balanced. But here's some of the other issues that we face. It's the way we produce fat today. The oil that you buy in a supermarket today is very different than the oil that people ate 100 years ago. And these changes result from processing changes. And the processing of oils today, the way we process it, has taken perfectly good fat that were healing fats and started to turn them into fats that contribute to killing us. So let's talk about how a seed, which has oil in it, is converted to oil. So we start off with a seed, and that seed is rich in minerals, vitamins, essential fatty acids, and protein. And even if we make a fresh, unrefined oil of the highest quality, all of the protein and the fiber in the seed is lost because that stuff is in the shell of the seed. During the processing of almost all oils in this country, most of the vitamins and minerals are removed, and most of the essential fatty acids, the omega-3 and omega-6, are destroyed. Fully processed oils are similar to refined white sugar, and we could call them white oils. Like sugar, they have no nutrient value, but in addition, unlike sugar, they also contain toxins. Frying and deep frying are the two most popular methods of fast food preparation, but they're also the two most dangerous to our health. Frying with oils will not kill us, so frying seems harmless. But our body has to cope with toxic substances over 10, 20, 30 years that come from frying, and those substances accumulate in our cells over time. We cannot eliminate these toxic substances from our bodies. And the altered and toxic substances that come from frying interfere with our body's chemistry. That's why a lot of times you don't see these cancers and heart disease till later in life, till these toxins have built up in your body. And what happens when these toxins build up, our cells die and we start to get degenerative process diseases. All right, so what are the best frying methods? Monounsaturated fats such as olive oils, you can fry with them, but only at low temperature. Refined oils like peanut oil and avocado oils will withstand a higher temperature. So if you're going to be deep frying with really hot oil, don't use olive oil, use a peanut oil, okay? The less oils are heated, the less they are destroyed and the better they are for us. So as we heat oils, we start killing the nutritional value of the oil. So you want to use refined oils that have a low amount of omega-3 and omega-6 and a large amount of saturated fat for frying. It's counterintuitive, but they produce less toxins. So unfortunately, the good oils, like olive oil, when you heat it to a really high heat, it produces toxins. So as consumers, we need to ensure that we do not destroy quality unrefined oils. So we can destroy those oils by how we fry. The other way we can destroy them is if they're not stored and packaged properly. They'll spoil. And when oils spoil, they spoil our health. So nature packs oils in seeds, and those seeds, those shells, keep out light, air, and heat. When manufacturers bottle and store oil, they need to make sure light and oxygen don't get in the bottle. So black bottles with oils in them are the best. If you can't find black bottles of oil, then brown, then green. If everything in the manufacturing process is done right, oils can keep for years without spoiling. So one simple thing, don't buy your oils in those clear plastic containers because the light is going to destroy the nutritional value of the oil. So when you open a bottle of oil, put it in the refrigerator. Usually, once you've opened a bottle of oil, it will start to oxidize, which means it goes rancid within 3 to 6 weeks. So you don't want to buy big, large bottles of olive oil or vegetable oil. Buy smaller bottles. Once you open it, keep it in the refrigerator. Make sure the lid is on tightly. Even then, oxygen's still going to get in, and it's the process of spoilage is going to start. And don't keep a bottle of oil for more than 6 weeks. Okay?
Anybody doing that?
So here's another good snack. You know, rather than having things like potato tortilla chips, which are high in trans fats and saturated fat, a really fun snack is some walnuts and raisins. The sweetness of the raisin with the walnut tastes really good, and you are getting good fat. Here's another tricky discussion. A lot of people are trying to lose some calories, right? And they decide to go with low fat or fat-free foods. Well, here's the issue. You go and you reach for a box of cookies, and it's low-fat cookies, you may be sabotaging your diet. Because what do manufacturers do? They take the fat out, right? So it's low fat. And what do? They add more sugar. Remember we talked about the partnership between refined sugar and fat? So these fat-free products have lots of excessive sugar. They have refined flour, which is starch, which turns to sugar. And what do? They cause fatigue, cravings, mood swing, and weight gain. So why do those things happen? Because when you have excessive sugar, you put that into your bloodstream, that releases what? Insulin. What is insulin's only job? To take sugar out of your bloodstream and store it as what? Fat. So it is much better, skip the low-fat products, have a product with fat in it, but not too much. A great snack is a slice of apple with some peanut butter on it. That's a whole lot better than these fat-free products. So let's talk a little bit of how we get fat. How do you get fat? You get fat by eating too many high-calorie foods that have a lot of sugar in them, starch, or saturated fat, by eating too many. You get fat by not eating enough high-fiber foods, because fiber takes fat out of your body. Sadly, unfortunately, our body's fat increases with age. You know, we lose muscle and we gain fat. There's nothing you can do about that other than lift weights. So let's talk about the best sources of good fat. Fish, salmon. We're really lucky around here because you can get lots of great salmon, tuna, herring, all of these things. They have omega-3 fatty acids, good for your brain, good for you. You should be trying to get 2 servings of fish a week. And if you have about 2 servings a week, you don't have to worry about mercury and things like that. If you don't like fish, look at a quality supplement like a omega-3 fish oil tablet. Olive oil, healthy, heart-healthy oils, olive oil, canola oil, peanut oil, really good sources of fat. But remember, when you use them, just a little bit. If you're sauteing some vegetables, you don't need much more than a couple of teaspoons. Why? All fat, high in calories. Avocados. Can't tell you enough. You have a salad, let's say you have some spinach and carrot, put a little avocado on it. Not only are you getting really good fat, which is good for you, all kinds of great phytonutrients like lutein, which is good for your eyes, and beta carotene.
Yes,
A quarter of an avocado only adds 75 calories to your food, so a little bit is a real good choice. Nuts. Most nuts have fat in them. They have the good kinds of fat, monounsaturated fat. Many studies have been done of people who eat, again, no more than a handful every day. I give my husband with his vodka tonic about 12 almonds every day when he gets home from work. Okay. Flaxseed. Can't say enough about flaxseed. It's an excellent source of fat. It also has protein. It has fiber. I would recommend, if you use flaxseed, buy it ground up. It's a pain in the neck to have to grind it yourself. It's got omega-3 fats in it. If you don't like fish, flaxseed is a great way to get omega-3. You just need about a tablespoon. You can put it on your cereal, on your oatmeal. You can sprinkle it in salad. I make chocolate chip cookies out of it for my family to make sure they're getting omega-3. It's just a great food. So another problem with the modern diet that I want to speak about very briefly, you all know we eat more calories today than ever. Back in the day, in the 1970s, the average person ate around 2,100 calories a day. Today, it's closer to 2,500 calories a day, most people. That's almost a 500 calorie increase, 20% increase in calories. So the problem with our modern diet, we eat too much saturated fat and trans fats, both of which to promote disease. You don't want to eat any trans fat if you can avoid it. You want to limit your saturated fat. We eat too much omega-6 fat, which come from plants and foods made with oil like soybean, corn, and safflower. We don't eat enough omega-3 fats, which are not as available in our food supply. So we need to eat, flaxseed, walnuts, things like that, fish. So if we reduce our consumption of saturated and trans fat, we'll improve our health. Don't have too much omega-6 fat. Try to increase your consumption of omega-3. Eat foods rich in water and fiber, like leafy vegetables. That's going to help you prevent heart disease. Here's a great meal. Here we have some baked chicken breasts, some broccoli, carrots, and peppers. This is a very good heart-healthy meal. Flaxseed is nature's richest source of omega-3. You can incorporate that into your diet. That will help you keep your oils balanced. Fish oil, I can't say enough about it. It will stop your body from making too much inflammatory compounds. So when deciding which fats to include in your diet, choose healthy foods like veggies, nuts, seeds, and fish. And if you can do that, then you're not going to have to focus on what type of fat you're eating. For example, both bacon and avocado have saturated fats in them, right? Both of them do. And they have the same amount. But the saturated fat in bacon increases your bad cholesterol, while 1/2 to 1.5 of an avocado daily still has saturated fat, but it reduces your bad cholesterol. So this is due to the different types of saturated fat, and I think it makes it clear why fat is so confusing. So all saturated fat is not the same. Avocados contain saturated fat, but they also contain other healthy plant compounds that are good for your body. So remember, even if fats are healthy, you've got to eat them in moderation. If you don't, you will gain weight. So fats, even the healthy ones, have a lot of calories, 9 calories per gram, more than twice as much as protein and carbohydrate. How much fat should you eat? 20 to 30% of your calories, which is about 400 to 600 calories a day. It's 44 to 66 grams. It's a lot, 11 to 16 teaspoons is how much fat you should eat every day. And if you want a healthy brain, you got to eat fat. Omega-3 particularly will help your brain. So I hope this has been interesting and hasn't made it more confusing for you. Fat is a fascinating subject. So thank you for joining me. I really appreciate it. I'll be seeing you again, I hope, in a week or so. And I think our topic is on dairy, calcium and vitamin D superstars. So take good care. Thank you all. Bye-bye.
Bye. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Learned a lot.
Good. It's a tough one. This is a tough one. Bye-bye, everybody.